humans. Welcome to the Human Beauty Movement podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Norman. Throughout my life, I've been a lover and a seeker of all things beauty, from art and dance to cosmetics and fashion to music and nature. But through my own personal journey, I've come to discover what I believe is the most beautiful thing in the universe, the beauty of the human soul. On this podcast, I sit down with beautiful humans from all corners of the globe and all walks of life to learn how they are living their own unique soul beauty out loud. You'll hear from game changers, rebels with great causes, sages, odds beaters, and valiant warriors who fall down 7 times and get up 8. This is the podcast where abundant energy flows and supreme wisdom is bestowed. Get ready to enjoy the inspiration. Hello, beautiful humans. I'm Jennifer Norman, founder of the Human Beauty Movement and your host. So I have a question for you. Are you somebody who's like me, who may have heard the word hypnosis and at first had been like, oh, that's a little bit scary. That feels like something that's, I should be a little bit concerned about. But then since I learned more about hypnotherapy, I actually think that the power of it is amazing. My next guest is Eliott Cohen-Skalli. Now, he thought that he had it all figured out. He had just made France's 30 under 30 list, and he was leading an 80 million euro company. But it wasn't until he rolled the dice that out of desperation, he gave hypnotherapy a try because he had a years-long smoking habit that he wanted to quit. Now he has his own do-at-home program called Oneleaf, and he's helping others do the same. Welcome, Eliott.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Jennifer.
I'm delighted to have you here, and I am intrigued. You have to tell us first about yourself. Tell us about this whole 30 under 30 thing. What was that about?
So actually, I started quite young being an entrepreneur. I started at 22 years old, creating my first company with 2 other partners, which used to be the company you called us about, which was Collectionist. So Le Collectionist, we became leader in luxury villa rental in Europe. So renting villas, castles, chalets, and the most beautiful destinations that we have in Europe, and now expanding in the US.
Wow. So it's not like anything that you'd find on Airbnb, right? If you're going to want to rent a castle.
So it actually starts a bit pricier than Airbnb, and it goes from 10,000 a week to up to 1 million a week. Actually, our biggest client spent 3.2 million euros for the biggest rental we had so far in the chalet. So yeah, I think not the same category of clients that we have probably on Airbnb. And yeah, so I started this company when I was 22, grew that company around 150 million in revenue, and raised over 80 million euros. And probably this led into getting that 30 under 30 list. And so I think, yeah, I was fortunate was working on the brand and the strategy, the sales, and got this title because of that.
Excellent. And are you still involved in that business?
I'm not. I left in August 2021 operationally, still a shareholder in the company, but started Oneleaf a few months after that.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. All right. So you had a smoking habit. So how long had you been smoking?
Quite a long time, actually. I stopped so many times, I can't even recall how many times I tried to quit smoking in my life. And funny enough, there was one guy actually on TikTok who used to be an hypnotist. It was actually using techniques on TikTok to help you to actually quit smoking. So I was using that and felt it was super interesting to learn about this space. So I've always been fascinated about smoking cessation, actually. As you know, numbers are quite crazy. It's still the #1 killer in the world. There's 7 out of 10 people that wants to quit smoking. And yet there's no easy, fast, and enjoyable solution for that. So I guess, after working for 9 years, creating this great company, I wanted to find something else, something where the purpose could be even higher and therefore, helping people. And so I was literally asking myself, like, what will I tell to my kids later on that I will be proud of as a product we created in this world? And so came out to be, as a web entrepreneur, trying out a bunch of things, testing a few things, and so amazing results on actually smoking cessation programs using the keyword smoking hypnosis. And so basically 99% of the conversions were coming from smoking hypnosis. And so I came to learn about also hypnosis this way and learned how fascinating it could be, trying to understand that there's not just smoking, but it's also weight loss, it's also sleep, it's also stress, confidence, pain. Right now, the last clinical studies that we have on hypnosis is a 77% reduction in pain in less than 20 minutes. So I guess all inflammations would be headaches, back pain, neck pains, that we all suffer every day around the world. clearly can be addressed with hypnosis, self-hypnosis. And that's where literally I was in New York at this time and actually did another hypnotherapy session. And I felt that it was an amazing path here to actually create an amazing company.
Okay, so I want to hear about your very first hypnotherapy sessions. Like, what was it that happened during the session? For those who haven't gone to a session, I think that they would be welcome to the education on what it's like, because there is still a bit of fear around the word hypnosis. I think that they think about, oh, somebody's going to, get into my mind and start manipulating things. And it's a little bit frightening to like let somebody take over. And so I want to be able to dispel some myths and misconceptions about hypnosis. Can you tell us about what your first sessions were like?
Just before that, I think it's important to notice that you and I have been like 100 times in a hypnotic state since the beginning of our life.
Yes.
So if you look at between 0 to 7 years old, you spend 70% of your time in a hypnotic state. So knowing that, I guess, makes it a bit less scary, because probably we'll go every day in a kind of hypnotic state in our lives. And therefore, in a way, at my stage, when I started doing my first hypnotherapy session, I've always read a lot of things on the topic and therefore knew a lot on the topic. So I wasn't scared at all about what it could feel. One part of hypnosis, which is the theater part, where basically you could see people being completely not in control, which is why people get scared, as damaged in the way the name hypnosis. Because people, as you said, are scary about what might happen, why it might not happen, etc., etc. And so I think a way of seeing it is not losing control, but it's actually gaining control. Because if you have to summarize what is hypnosis, that's the way I put it, at least, because there's many definitions out there, but at least for me, it's a very, very simple mix of a super relaxed state and a very, very highlight focus state. So you became completely enlightened with what you want to achieve, whether it be smoking, whether it be weight loss. You're just in a very, very focused sensation.
And that's a very good way of putting it. I know that I originally had seen some of that theater, and so that was exactly what was in my mind, is like, people saying things during a hypnotic state and then not remembering what they said or what they did, and that could be a little bit embarrassing. And yeah, it created a little bit of a stigma around the idea of hypnosis or hypnotherapy. But truly, the statistics are pretty amazing and the numbers are pretty amazing. There are people who have had like lifelong ailments or lifelong issues, people who have tried, like just like you, who have tried to stop smoking, something that is so bad for you, but it's a habit that you just can't kick. And then within one session or within just a series of sessions, boom, they're able to stop smoking. Can you tell us, like, what is the science behind that, of being in that relaxed state and then being in a very focused state that helps to cut all of these original bad habits or these things that you don't want?
Sure. So it's quite simple. What happens in your brain is you're connecting the interior cingulate cortex with the executive control system, and you link the two together. So basically your brain is making like we've all been, again, coming back to the focus state. We've all been doing one thing where we were super focused and absorbed in the thing we were doing, and therefore doing it in the right way. Same thing here. If you choose to quit smoking, if you choose to lose weight, if you choose to, again, feel not stressed or reduce the pain, because the pain starts in the brain, if you focus on it in a very, very deep way, you will achieve it in a better way. And so same thing for stress, same thing for smoking, etc. You just focus a lot more on what you're trying to achieve and therefore getting a higher result from it. And so let's take the example of smoking. You have 90% of the population who smokes for 3 reasons: stress, boredom, and concentration. And therefore you can link a lot the brain and how the brain works to connect to those different environments that people will feel and will want to actually have a craving for a cigarette at those times. And therefore you can actually create skills during those hypnotic stations that people will remember and use every time they have a craving, and use it to actually reduce the craving that they're currently having.
And some people have described it as like getting down into the subconscious, so that you're
Correct.
actually helping to reprogram the subconscious in that way. Yeah.
Correct. It's always the same thing. When you link the executive control system with your brain, it's just making connections in your brain to take decisions. And how do you take decisions is not the conscious part, but it's the subconscious part. Because of course, those two has to be connected. So for example, the best way to put it is when you take a pen and you start writing on a book or a paper, it's actually a way to enter your subconscious mind as well. Same thing here. We just connect it in a very deep way with your subconscious that you normally don't have access to or probably won't feel like connecting with it. And therefore, it's much easier to actually connect with it.
Fantastic. So now, as you said, you feel that this is something that's more purpose-driven and more fulfilling, that you're going to be able to take what you've learned and spread it out to the world. And so you started a company called Oneleaf. Can you tell us about what is that about? Like, what can people expect when they come and see Oneleaf?
Sure. So we don't do hypnotherapy. We do self-hypnosis, so guided self-hypnosis. So what they expect is honestly to hear probably the nicest voice they will hear in their lives, to actually join them with a few programs that have been designed in a way to achieve results. And so right now you have 5 programs available, which is quit smoking, weight loss, stress, sleep, confidence, and soon to be in pain. And so they will go on the app. We have 21-day programs that have been designed in a different way with skill building and quick relief sessions that they can access at any time. And so basically the person will come in, put their AirPods or their headphones on, go on their couch, on their bed, and start the session.
Now, I've heard there is magic around 21 days.
Yeah, it's actually science. It's actually science. It's another thing that you have in the brain, which is called the basal ganglia. And this one works on 21-day cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Normally it's not 21 days, it's actually 21 times 3 to actually stop any habit. But 21 day for us is a great way, people are lazy in this world, and myself included. And therefore, I think it's a great way to be committed and to stay committed in the goal you're trying to reach. Because 21 days seems big. It's not as big as trying to say, okay, it will take you a year to lose 20 pounds, for example. So I think we've seen from our users, for example, in the weight loss programs, we have women and men using it like 6 days a week, every day since the past 4 months. And so we clearly see that they've been designed in this way. But once you get to understand which are your favorite ones and which ones do you relate the most, then they just use it on a daily basis as maximum as possible.
Fantastic. Now, I know that it's a fairly new app, or you started your company just a couple of years ago. Do you have any results that you can share in terms of numbers?
Sure. So yeah, in terms of numbers, we don't have aggregated numbers of massive amounts to actually share. So we don't share that since we want to have more to actually share it with the public. So basically, the thing we're doing is taking the other way, which is a year ago, we were fortunate enough to raise a seed series with investors in Paris and raise $5.1 million. We grew a team between Berlin, Paris, and the US. And in the US, we have our scientific committee, our hypnotherapists, and our voice talents. And so we design programs this way. And we've been designing, as I said, 5 programs. We started on the web, moved to mobile last November, and started doing acquisitions since probably 10th of December. So you could say that the company is literally 3 months old in a way, because the product is 3 months old. But we sell, this yearly subscription at $68, where you have access to all the programs right from the start for the next 12 months. And I think we try to educate users that it's a long-term utility and that you have to commit to Oneleaf on a daily basis to achieve the best results that you want in your life. So smoking is a bit, of course, different, but anxiety or insomnia is probably the best example. I will have some insomnia this year. Is it tomorrow? Is it in 1 month? Is it in 3 months? I don't know that yet. And therefore, it's great to know that I have Oneleaf available at all times when that time comes. And so right now we're going at a 20% growth rate per week, which is super, super high already. And I think getting amazing results from the power users that we're seeing. It seems that they're super happy, and we've seen the reviews and feedbacks that we had online that you can check when you download the app. You'll see that people are getting an amazing time from Oneleaf. And I think it's not for everyone, I guess. Coming back to your point where you were saying some people will be scared, some people will like it. It's like going to the gym, it's like doing yoga. Some people will like it, some people won't like it. I guess the only way to try is actually to use the app and use our premium, which is 7 days of free trial that they can access right away. Try for 7 days, see if they like it, and see if they want to continue. And as of now, more than 50% does.
Now, is there any specific recommendation for like a time of day that anybody does their self-hypnosis session?
Again, we work with experts in the field. I'm not an hypnotherapist per se. Knowing what I learned in the past year on that topic, it seems there's not. You probably hear some people saying that you have to do it at night just before going to sleep. If you remember well, once we were children, our parents sometimes we're saying like to actually learn some stuff while just before going to sleep, because it's the best time to actually remember stuff, which is actually very true, because again, the hypnotic state is not so different than the feeling that you have right when you wake up or right when you go to sleep, which is that trance state that you have in between. So I guess those times where you feel less connected are very good to achieve that hypnotic state. But what we say at the beginning of any Oneleaf session is actually that we expect you not to fall asleep, because we want you to feel connected with your body and reunite them in a way to make sure that actually the session is processed in the right way in your brain.
So where can people find Oneleaf?
On the App Store, on the Google Play Store. They just have to download the app. It takes literally 5 seconds just to sign up, and then they can start any sessions they like based on the problems that they currently have.
Eliott Cohen-Skalli of Oneleaf, thank you so much for sharing information about your story and about self-hypnosis. And I encourage everybody to go over and check out Oneleaf today.
Cool. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for having me, and looking forward to having you connected on Oneleaf as well and use our programs. And if you have feedback, don't hesitate.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Human Beauty Movement podcast. Be sure to follow, rate, and review us wherever you stream podcasts. The Human Beauty Movement is a community-based platform that cultivates the beauty of humankind. Check out our workshops, find us on social media, and share our inspiration with all the beautiful humans in your life. Learn more at thehumanbeautymovement.com. Thank you so much for being a beautiful human.